So today I want to talk to you about the volume intensity spectrum. So what is the volume intensity spectrum? On the one end of the spectrum we have intensity, on the other end of the spectrum we have volume. Intensity basically means the load we're using. Are we using 100% of our 1 rep max, meaning whatever we can lift the most heavy amount of weight for 1 rep? Or are we going to use 50% of our 1 rep max, something we can do for, 20, 30, 40 reps? On the other hand, volume, which would be how many sets times reps times weight are we lifting. So let's say, just super easy example, we lifted 100 pounds for one set 10 times. It's going to be 100 times 1 times 10, 1,000 pounds. So that means our volume for that would be 1,000 pounds. So obviously we can change that volume. We can go to 2 sets, and now we're at 2,000 pounds. So very simple. Why are these two variables important? Because when it comes to strength training and trying to gain strength, trying to gain size, get better endurance, etc., volume and intensity are always going to be present at some degree. How are volume and intensity related to each other? Generally speaking, the higher intensity you are, the lower volume you use, and generally speaking, the higher volume you are, the lower intensity you are. So why is this? Think about it, it makes sense. Let's say we're gonna lift a super heavy weight, something like 90% of a 1 rep max. Are you gonna lift 90% of your 1 rep max for 6 sets of 8? No, it's gonna be probably, maybe doubles and triples. And you're not gonna do a crap ton of sets of those because they're very taxing. And it's not necessary to gain strength to do, 10 sets of 3. I mean, that can work, sure. I mean, I've done it before for a short period of time, but that's not something you're gonna do for a long period of time. And on the other hand, if you plan on doing large amounts of volume, and let's just say we wanna do 100 reps of something, we're not gonna load that up with 90% because, let's say 90% is 3 reps. Well, that's, 3 goes into 100 about 33 times. So that's 33 sets. We want to do 33 sets of something? Don't think so. So when we're looking at the volume intensity spectrum, we have to keep in mind what are our goals. Since my main purpose here is to teach you about strength and building size, and also building strength and size, I'm going to go over those particular goals. So when we're trying to build strength, we do not need as high of a volume as when we are trying to gain muscular size. So what exactly does that mean? How much volume do we need, say, for strength versus for size? In one of my articles I wrote last week about what's a hybrid zone for strength and size, I wrote about kind of a number that I like, a number of total reps, which was generally between about 10 and 30 reps. So on the low end of that is 10, and that's generally a very good range for the total amount of work reps you need to develop very good strength. And on the other end of that was 30, which is a very good starting number to develop muscular size. And then in between there, you can lean more towards strength, more towards size, and you can also get a little bit of both worlds. So let's go specifically over some set and rep ranges that go a little bit over intensities as well for strength, a hybrid or power building type situation, and hypertrophy. So for strength, we said a good range is 10. So what are good ways to get to 10 reps? Pretty much anything that will make our entire reps over however many sets we decide to do 10 is a good number. So something like 10 by 1, probably wouldn't do that very often, but that can work. Something like maybe 5 sets of 1 or 5 sets of 2, 5 sets of 3 is okay. 4 sets of 2, 4 singles, 4 by 3. All those types of rep ranges are great for building strength. So for the hybrid zone, I usually like to stay in that kind of 15 to 25 range. So, things like 3 sets of 5, 5 sets of 3, 3 by 4, 5 by 4. Basically anything you can come up with where your rep range is probably in that kind of 3 to 6 range is really good. And then however many sets you need to get there, go for maybe, you know, anywhere between 2 and 4 type of sets. It's a great start. And then for hypertrophy, we're looking for the higher end of the range, around 30. And you can even go a little bit higher depending on the exercise. Generally for the big compound exercise, I like to keep it at 30. And then for more isolation type exercises, you can go a little bit higher, up to, you know, 40 and 50. So, you know, that's where the traditional type of set rep ranges where, you know, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8, 4 sets of 8, 4 sets of 10, 4 sets of 12, up to 15s and even 20s are all good for, you know, 3 to 5 sets. So now you have a general idea of what the volume intensity spectrum is, and now you have an idea of how to use it when your goals are strength, some sort of hybrid strength and size, or size are your goals. You know what types of set rep ranges to use. You know that if you're using a little bit of a higher volume, then your intensity or your load is obviously going to be a little bit lighter. If you're going a little bit lower volume and you're trying to get strength, then you can use a higher intensity level. It's that simple. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate a like. If you like more information like this, please hit that subscribe button. Later.